Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga Texas construction update video.
We're starting another week here at Giga Texas, and although it looks sunny and beautiful, it's pretty windy, and over the weekend we had a lot of thunderstorms and heavy rain come through the area. So that is affecting to some degree the construction that is going on here. Now, just to begin with the intro, talking about production, we see that with the Cybercabs, Cybertrucks, and the Model Ys. All of them are in production today to begin the work week, which is a really nice thing to see that all of that is happening. With the Cybercabs, I was able to see about 53 of them over in the outbound lot, 3 different locations this time, and also got a chance to get a shot of a couple of them from the top down. In fact, this image with 9 of them is kind of nice looking, and I like how the symmetry is of all the photos. Also got another shot of some Cybercabs right next to a new Model Y, so you get a good sense of scale. And also just I went over to the exit point of the factory to see if I could see any more of the Cybercabs exiting the factory. I did not see that going on, at least at the time that I was flying, but over at the Model Y exit point, I did see several of them exiting the factory as production is gearing up. Over at the crash testing facility, I did notice that some more of the Cybercabs have had actual crash testing done that is visible. This particular one, as you can tell, has had some sort of either a rollover or at least a roof and A-pillar damage, and also breaking some of the windshield. So they are doing a lot different kinds of tests now with the Cybercabs, and that's all continuing to make sure that they're ready for the introduction into the robotaxi fleet and be able to take passengers. On the construction front, over at the southwest side test track, we can see that more of the preparation has been done on all of the driving surfaces for asphalt to be applied, and the track outline is quite obvious and noticeable with this work. The asphalt should be happening very soon, probably this week, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to be doing with the test track once that is completed. I've had a lot of viewers ask what is the purpose of a test track. If everything is going to be autonomous, well, they're still doing a lot of engineering and testing here, and I think that will play into whatever vehicles that they are working on. The far north side, you can see that the earthwork and the grade preparation for that new Optimus factory is coming along. They're doing more excavation and lowering of the grade, at least it looks like to me, on the south end, while they're working on the north end. And in between, the GeoPiers are hard at work, or at least positioned for working on putting more of the piers throughout that entire location. The last major area that I want to show you is on that southeast side, where they are doing the River Road extension, a large pond, and potentially extending one of the roads across from the parking garage over to where the new advanced technology fab for chip manufacturing will be built. And I also got this older image. It shows a little bit of some work that's being done on the wastewater pipe, but they also indicate in this general area where we have seen the renders before the building, or at least a large structure, and that kind of gives us maybe some indication of the size of this new advanced technology fab. But I'll continue to watch that, and we will see what is going on. So without further ado, let's get the drone in the air. Let's fly around on this windy Monday and see what else is going on with Giga Texas. As always, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. Let's go flying.
If you would like to support my efforts, please consider using these links, which will be in the video description. If you are interested in Tesla products, you can help yourself and support me by using my referral code. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons on my YouTube video, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga Texas.
Well, I waited till a little later in the late morning because of all of the rains earlier, and I'm glad I did because everything has cleared up and we have great visibility all over the site. We're going to start here at the test track, just show you that pretty much all the driving surfaces have had that kind of a spray oil-based material put down, really well defined the surfaces. This is done before they start putting asphalt down, so we should probably see that this week at the pace that they're going. Now in the middle of the site, this smaller oval, looks like there's still some work to be done with the chicanes and maybe a skid surface, but we'll have to see how that all develops. The area here with the two ponds and some of the other materials that are being stored here, still waiting to see what they're going to do with this part of the track. But as I maneuver over towards the far southwest side of the whole area, we can also get a good view of how the kind of berms around each side of the road surfaces kind of, point away to help with the water drainage. I don't really see much of a kind of a raised track itself around the edges, but maybe that will materialize a little bit better once we see all the asphalt in and how this is all coming together. But as I bring the drone down lower, you can see some of the remnants of all of the rain that we got over the weekend and earlier this morning, and just the general condition of the entire site. But I think that they're going to have most of this done, at least the track surface, by the end of the month, which is really going to be cool to see. Now I'm going to keep the drone up at a higher altitude so we can go across the power lines, briefly fly over the material staging yard, some of the workshops, the supercharger assembly area, and a lot of the parts here at the bottom of the screen, and more of the 4680s cell portion of the factory materials waiting for their movement inside. All the transformers still being stored here, and of course all of the materials that are related to those installations. As we get to the outbound lot, to show you that production of Model Ys, Cybertrucks, and Cybercabs, at least the engineering parts of the Cybercabs, our versions of the Cybercabs, is well underway. And when I was flying, I did notice Cybertrucks coming out of the Cyber Tunnel, but unfortunately not at the moment that I got the drone over here. But we were seeing them driving out and proceeding over to the end of line for more processing. And here at the south end of the end of line facility, we can see all of the vehicles being stored here right now, and next to some of these Model Ys that are just starting to accumulate from the factory, we see the first of 3 large groups of Cybercabs, a total of at least 53 that I've seen here on the outbound lot today. Some of them were driving around. In fact, a couple of them were doing the test track that we will see here momentarily. There is one at the bottom of the screen, as you can tell here, and next to the west side of the end of line, there's another grouping of about 12. And we saw on my previous video that these, once they are needed inside, will drive through that open door that you can see in the upper right of the screen. And I'll bring the drone up a little bit more. We'll pivot towards the west. We'll see a Cybertruck going through the figure 8 part of the track, and another large grouping of Cybercabs here on this side. Now, there are some interesting things about these Cybercabs, particularly the ones closest to the front of the line. You're going to see at least one of them has kind of tape on the windshield, and I'm not sure why that is. It may be some tests that they're doing. Maybe they just put the windshield in and they need to kind of do a test with the type of adhesion that they're using. But nevertheless, that's the first time I've seen that with Cybercabs in quite some time. But that's pretty much the situation with Cybercabs here today, and they all appear to be the engineering versions. Now, the shade structure for the direct delivery, we saw the posts being installed in my previous video, and now the canvas roof or tops have been added onto it. You can see the shade underneath that, which would be really nice for customer vehicles. And these kind of matches the shades that they have at the superchargers at the end of the end of line facility at that south side. We see some of the Model Ys and a Cybertruck starting to line up on the sorting lanes. And that's just another indication of the production that is underway today. Crossing over the highway and resuming next to the flags, get a good idea of some of the wind that I was dealing with the drone. It does get stronger the higher the altitude you go, so that kind of affected a little bit of my flight today. But while I was here, I was able to see some of the Model Ys exiting the factory. This is that normal exit point to come down that ramp, and they drive autonomously all the way over to those sorting lanes on the east side of the end of line where we saw the other Model Ys in the Cybertruck just a few seconds ago. I'm going to continue to sort of fly up towards the north here, getting close to where this crane is located. Didn't really see a lot of activity here, so I'm going to pop up over the roof and we're going to resume on the other side at the melt center. Here we are on the east side. I'm zooming into some of the materials that are being stored here next to all of the castings. Most of the castings that we see here are for Model Ys, and they have a lot of them lined up all along this side of the factory. Now, the Model Ys and the Cybertruck castings are stored outside here, but as part of the new process for the Cybercab lines, they actually go inside the building and they leave from the casting structure here through the third floor all the way across or inside the walls that we see here above the window line and continue all the way down to where the production site is located. We can also get a good view along this east side of a Cybertruck pulling more of the castings. That's for Cybertruck production, and that kind of confirms again that production is underway. Also some of that materials and wrapping up some construction just to the south of that glass entranceway. As we get to this large loading platform, on the ground is some of the temporary chiller system for the thermoplastic injection molding machines just inside the factory there, and more of the pipes and other connections that are underway. Now, I would normally see some moisture or water on the ground if they were operational. I don't see that right now, so at the moment I flew by, I did not see that operation. Next to these two silos in that large doorway is where the exit point for the Cybercabs are. The moment I flew by, I did not see any exiting the factory. More materials next to the wall and by this kind of plastic-lined assembly workshop, and a few more materials, some of them in the wooden crates. The gantry crane and the SPMT have some materials on the ground. It looks like some items were unpacked very recently. Next to the cooling system, the asphalt kind of patch that you see on the ground is where they were doing some excavation work. That looks to be completed already. Looking to the south of River Road, get a good view of that river park area along the Colorado River that will be developed for the public, and also the work on the River Road extension heading off to the southwest. I'm going to just sort of point the drone back to show you the factory from this vantage point, the end of line, the outbound lot where we came from in downtown Austin, the upper left of the screen, and of course the cyber pond on the south end of the factory. Going to continue to fly to the east. We'll bring the drone down a little bit lower and take a look at the River Road extension over to the intersection with Robotic Avenue, which has been paved and has the medians, but it's not connected quite yet. And that road will continue off to the right-hand side of the screen. You can see the arc in the roadway. In the middle left of the screen, there will be a pond of some sort according to the renders. And it looks like they're starting to frame in that at the bottom of the screen with some of that gravel and maybe even a retaining wall. And we also see excavation work here just to the south of the recycle center. And I'm going to watch this over the next few days just to see how they're defining this whole area. Now, what I popped up here on the screen is an image from a document that showed permits. You can see that black building. That's where the advanced technology chip fabrication building will be constructed, and it'll be right in this area right below where the drone is, and that generally is the same location as what we saw with the renders. Good view of that wall on the left, and I think that's going to be part of the retaining wall structure of the pond that's below the drone. Next to the east side of the parking garage, We can see more of the trench work for some of the underground water management systems, also some of the trench boxes, and more excavation underway. As we get towards this material staging yard, you can see at the bottom of the screen the riprap around the drainage basins, and that is to help control the flow of water, but also help with the irrigation and rainwater runoff. Of course, with all the rains we've had, they've had a good chance to test out that system. Here's looking at the helicopter pad and the wind tunnel. And all of this has recently had some new conduit and cabling for electrical power added in. I'm going to kind of face the drone to the east, looking across the site here where we're going to see that construction. Also currently the east warehouse on wheels and some of the workshops, trailers, and materials for construction. Now, because of the size of the new advanced technology fab, I think it's not going to take this entire area. So they may just reconfigure some of the warehouse on wheels farther to the north and west part of the site and then construct the building in the open space. That will still require a lot of these structures, the equipment, the containers, and the workshops. Also the recycling center you see in the top right of the screen, and all of this is going to have to be moved for that construction. And a good view of River Road extension coming in from the left down to the center of the screen. This large pile is continuing to be removed, and we can tell that it is significantly lower and there's a lot less material, although still quite a bit left to be used. And we're seeing a lot of this material being delivered all over the site as part of filling in and helping with some of the construction that's going on. But here's a great view of what this looks like now. Some of the material debris is being put into that pile at the bottom of the screen, and of course where the old maintenance facility is, still looking for cleanup. On the east side of the battery cathode plant, more of the dirt has been brought in here to fill in where the River Road extension is going to come through this location. And that work is continuing. Some of the water trucks to help with packing down the soil. We even see large sections of geotextile membrane being added in here. That's that black material with some of the dirt on it to keep it from blowing away. And that helps to strengthen the soil and also promote some of the drainage. We do see more dirt filling into this pond, which kind of confirms what I was expecting, is that most of this pond is going to be filled in, at least maybe up to where this bridge has been located next to the tank. And of course, going through the tree line, you can get a good idea of where the rest of the road is going to go. And it will make this turn, continue through the tree line up into this large field, which is what I call a lone tree field. And then it will connect into a new Harold Green Road through this location. We do see a lot of traffic has been going through the middle part of the road, and that also is kind of framing in where we see this orange construction fence around where some of the concrete slabs remain from when this used to be a rental equipment lot. So I'm going to bring the drone up to a higher altitude to first show you what the new construction site looks like today and just the expanse of it from the north to the south. The silt fence area to the left looks like it's getting closer to having earthwork near it, and we do continue to see some of the excavation work here at the south end of the foundation. There is a grade level change here, and I'm going to continue to watch that to see how that develops. We do see amongst this location where a lot of the gravel has been brought in that the GeoPiers have been busy making the piers that will support the foundation of the new structure. And on the north end, we see more work at the location where the diamond shape of the foundation is materializing, and all that gravel is helping to prepare it for when they will be able to put the GeoPiers in. The silt fence kind of defines the northern boundary, and a good higher altitude view of the entire location and the foundation as it's coming together. A large mound of dirt on the bottom left still remains, and I'm going to watch and see where that ends up going. But of course, there's still more earthwork on the north end of where it appears that the foundation will be, at least for right now, with these angled corners. So I brought the drone back down to a lower altitude. We can see some of the earthwork equipment in work today, and we get a good view here of the GeoPier operation that is set up and in operation making those piers. I don't know exactly why this plus kind of symbol is in the middle of the foundation, but I'm going to keep watching that. I'm sure that it has something to do with how the building will be constructed. But as we continue to fly around here, just a good view of that GeoPier work, some of the foundation work, and the kind of changing of the grade at the south end of the building. It also looks like it's widening here to the west, which is the bottom part of the screen. And you can get a good idea with that silt fence and the orange construction fence as far as where they're going to do that, at least for now, the earthwork. And I'm going to kind of maneuver around here, show you again that south end of the foundation, that excavation work, and that continues to proceed from the south to the north. And I'll bring the drone up one more time through this location to show you how the foundation is looking from this vantage point. Also to the south, these roadways that go through this kind of tree and grass area with the pond. This is what separates the foundation on the left and Cortex 2 and the battery cathode plant on the south end of that field. So something else I'm going to be watching to see what happens within that field. So I'm going to continue to maneuver around here on the south end. We'll proceed over to where the Lippmann concrete crushing operation is still underway to help clean up some of the debris that has accumulated here over the last several years. Good view of some of the different kinds of materials being piled up in this north part. Also the crushed up concrete on the right hand side of the screen. It looks like the conveyor, at least for now, has been put down, and you can see the rest of the operation here. I'm not sure why that is the case. But there's, in addition to some of the concrete that remains to be crushing up, we see a large pile of old rebar as well. So this is what the site looks like on this part of the northeast section of the cathode building. On the left is where we see a lot of the dirt being brought in for that River Road extension. And here next to the tree and where these center dump trucks are, we can tell that more dirt has been brought in, kind of framing in this section with roadways on the left and the right. So this is continuing to develop. On the left, we'll see those green transformers and some other equipment waiting for installation at Cortex 2. And as we proceed to the crash test facility, I'll zoom in and show you some of the activity here. We see Cybercabs all over. Of course, that refreshed semi has not moved since it arrived here a couple weeks ago. And this line of Cybercabs next to the black fence, we can tell at least one right by that wooden crate has had some rollover crash testing performed. These large crates also are where they put Cybercab parts for holding or maybe for later inspection, or if they're just no longer needed. And that is why those crates are here next to all the Cybercabs. We see some more underneath the car covers. And on the south end at the crash test dummy lab that is new, more of that excavation work, that asphalt section has been added. And we see the water in the dunk tank, which is filled up when they are doing active crash testing, excuse me, in case they have a battery fire. So a lot of activity there at the crash test facility. Here's a good look at some of the materials and workshops here just to the south of the battery cathode plant, more of the steel corrugated pipe for underground water management systems. The center dump trucks are heading off the site to pick up more dirt to bring it back here. And of course, Cortex 2, what it is looking like today. The chiller plants are continuing to develop, although on the south end, not a lot in the dirt section to really define what that's going to be yet. But the temporary chiller systems, looks like some of the fans are actually operational, which is a great sign. One of the larger fans on the part one of the cooling system appears to be working as well. And this is a good look through this alleyway of how this installation appears. I'm going to fly over the die shop to the alleyway between the die shop and the cathode plant just to show you that the Matheson truck is bringing in more of the liquid cryogenic materials. And the fans, at least 3 of the 4 on the cooling system, are operational today. This large workshop at the bottom of the screen looks like the plastic has been ripped off with our storms over the weekend, but otherwise operations are going on there today. At part 2 of the chiller system, we see that this entire wall decking on the south side looks to be almost completed, and I think it's almost at the top elevation, and then we'll see some more of the fans installed on the top of this. The other 4 bays are getting the fiber reinforced panel installation, are the beams installation right now. And those fiber reinforced polymer beams are used for this because they have excellent corrosion resistance. And that's because there's a lot of the water that are there. And that could corrode other metal pipes if that is what it was constructed at. I'm going to bring the drone up really quickly to higher altitude to show you where that foundation is in relation to the battery cathode plant. Also that tree-lined field with the pond and those 4 roads kind of heading into it, and how this all fits together right now for the site. I'll bring the drone back down and we'll take a look at what is going on the west side of Cortex 2, particularly with preparations to extend the Megapack installation. Part 1 is already complete, and with the 14 on the east side, there's about 130 or so already in place. And the rest of this is being prepared for more of the Megapacks. We see some of the transformers have been delivered and are being installed onto the new platforms. More of the beams been delivered next to the screw type piers on the ground at the various different levels. So this is making a lot of pretty quick progress, and who knows, maybe by the end of the month we'll start seeing more of the Megapacks arriving as they finish up part 2. On the north end, we can see that they've been doing some grade work, also some new fencing, and in the middle, this more asphalt section has been added, and that connects into the road that will extend over to the electrical switchyard construction project. On the north end, those 4 steel power pole bases have not moved yet, neither has the equipment. I'm going to stay at a higher altitude and just show you what's going on here amongst the steel assembly and some of the electrical parts, and of course the A-frames with the wires that have been added in. And on the south side, I'll zoom in here and see what the 3rd transformer looks like right now. A lot more assembly has taken place. There's a green generator that has been brought in. Maybe that's for part of the setting up the entire system. And on the right, you can see that the disconnects for the new transformer are still open, but the other ones are actually closed. And those are really close to the A-frames. As I kind of pan the drone to the south, a few things that I just wanted to show you here that is new, and it may be related to the east side preparing for construction of the advanced technology fab structure, and that is some new trailers have been brought in and are being assembled. And also at the top of the screen, we see more of them being arriving right now. Now, it's possible that they're relocating all of the trailers for the contractor offices in the east side over here so they can clear out space. I'm not sure yet if that is the case, but I will continue to monitor this, and we'll see together where they all are being installed. But here are 3 more that just arrived as I was finishing up my drone flight. I believe those will be added over near where these new trailers have been added. All of these parts, especially the gray items, are the fan shroud enclosures, also the drive mechanisms and motors for the fans for part 2 of the cooling system for Cortex 2, and some other items that will be used on the inside. So I'll bring the drone up to a higher altitude, kind of pan around back towards the main factory, and I'll gain some altitude and fly off to the east to reveal as much of the site as I can today. I think that was a pretty good update of what is going on here on this Monday, and the start of yet another week here at Giga Texas. Of course, everybody wants to see when the Cybercab production is really starting to ramp up, and I will keep my eyes open for that and let you know as soon as I find out. As always, thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it. I hope you have a great rest of the week. Take care.